Yes, Balls Deep breakdown number 2 of the day. And we might even be getting a late night Balls Deep breakdown on this Monday evening. I'm getting out ahead of the content because we have got 14 awesome fights coming up at UFC 266. So many compelling matchups. We got to get an early start this week. My man DFS by the numbers and I got to start on Pub Sports Radio last night for Stat Diggers. The link to that show is in the description for this video. The link to all the stats that you're going to see in this video is in the description of this video. The link to my Twitter handle is in the description of this video. Let's go. Let's go balls deep into all the stats for this very compelling UFC 266 matchup between Uros Medic and Jalen the Tarantula Turner. I can't wait for this fight. My guy Smooth Jimmy, I don't think he can wait for this fight either. And we're just going to have to start getting into it here because this is going to be a very exciting fight. So let me get my screen shared here with you guys. Let's see if Smooth Jimmy is ready to go. Oh, come on, man. He's definitely ready. Here we go, you guys. Smooth Jimmy and I are going to be breaking down all the relevant stats for this matchup here between Jalen Turner and Uros Medic. What's up to the chat? We got Jack Attack MMA, balls deep. That's right. Battle of the Prospects, says Jack Attack here. And then we've got Chris Lang Pearson saying, you need to have your volume higher when you're on Pub Sports. Loving the content aside from that. New mic has made things much better as well. Thanks, you might, dude, I had some serious problems with my mic back in the day when I was first starting. I had the mic. I didn't put it all the way in my face. And then when I was getting different StreamYard links and working with different people, it was always diverting back to my webcam mic. Now that I got this thing in my face, the volume is a little bit better. And sometimes when I'm looking off to the left here at my screen, I'm talking a little bit outside of the mic. All things that I got to start learning in order to be better at this. But thank you for sticking with me, Chris. I appreciate that, man. And I intend to be as loud as fuck from here on out so that you guys can hear whatever I'm saying when I'm breaking down these fights. So I want to get this balls deep breakdown done in 45 minutes today so that we can all go over to Pub Sports Radio and watch my man Clint do the Die Hard MMA podcast. That's going to be starting up in just under 45 minutes at this point. And so if in order to do that, let's jump right into these stats. And let's start like we always do with the tail of the tape. Jalen Turner, going to be the younger man in this fight. 26 years old, and Uros Medic is 28. We've got Jalen Turner, a gigantic lightweight at 6'3", and Uros Medic is a huge lightweight in his own right at 6'1". We've got Jalen Turner with a 6-inch reach advantage here at a 77-inch reach, while Medic is only 71. Medic is a southpaw who will fight out of both stances, and Jalen Turner is a southpaw who will fight out of both stances. So now Uros Medic is training over at King's MMA in Southern California, while as far as I know at this point, Jalen Turner is still at Adrenaline Combat Sports. Uros Medic, born in Serbia, has been in Alaska for a good amount of time. He was doing his regional scene fighting in Alaska Fighting Championships, and then he got the Contender Series fight, and then ever since then, I believe he's been training at King's MMA. So let's move down to the pro experience here, and we're going to see that even though Jalen Turner is younger, has the height advantage and the reach advantage here, so I'm going to give him the measurables advantage, we're also going to see that he's going to have an experience advantage here over Uros Medic. Over twice as many professional fights for Jalen Turner at 15 pro fights, while it's only 7 for Medic. We got a 10-5 record for Jalen Turner, a 7-0 undefeated record for Uros Medic. We see about 50 more minutes in the pro cage for Jalen Turner. Average fight time for both of these guys, man, they're fighting like they're double parked, as we got 5.4 minutes for Jalen Turner and 4.64 minutes for Uros Medic. A 5-year career for Uros, a 5-year career for Jalen Turner. So In that 5 years, we've seen about almost 3 fights a year for Jalen Turner, while for Uros, it's just over 1 fight a year. So Jalen Turner, more experience. He's been the busier fighter. He's been the more active one, more cage time overall, 3 times as many UFC fights as well. So if we look at Jalen Turner, 6 out of his 15 fights at the UFC level, that's 40% of his career. He's got a 4-2 record in the UFC. 42 minutes of cage time, and a 7-minute average fight time, while Uros Medic's 2 fights. He's 2-0, 3.87 minutes average fight time, and 1.93 minutes average fight time, only 3.87 minutes in the UFC cage in 2 fights. So Uros Medic is a doctor who's coming in there and shaving ass and doing it very well. Now, let's look at the finish stats for these gentlemen. Jalen Turner and Uros Medic, they both have one thing in common, you guys, and that's that they have 100% finish rates. These guys come to finish fights. Jalen Turner, 10 wins, 8 by knockout, 2 by submission. In his 4 UFC wins, 3 of them have been by knockout, 1 of them has been by submission. While for Uros Medic, both of his UFC wins have come by way of knockout, and in his 7 wins, we have 5 knockouts, 2 submissions. Both of Uros Medic's submissions have come via triangle choke. If we look at how they lose fights, Uros Medic has never lost, and Jalen Turner, in his 5 losses, has been knocked out in 3 of those 5 losses. It's very important to note that Uros Medic is a knockout fighter. He knocks people out. He hits extremely hard. There is, without a question, a path to victory here for Uros Medic to win by knockout. Let's also talk violence. Let's also talk fight doesn't go to decision here before we get into the individual striking and grappling stats. We've got 100% finish rate in 17 wins. All 17 wins for these guys finished inside the distance. 3 out of the 5 losses for Turner finished inside the distance. That means 22 total fights. 20 of them have finished inside the distance when we sum up all of the pro experience for Medic and Turner. Over 90% of the time, you guys, about 91% of the time, these guys' fights have finished. And we've got an average fight time of 4.64 minutes for Medic, an average fight time of 5.4 minutes for Turner. Both of these guys finish fights and do it quickly. They don't wait till the 3rd round to finish fights. They're getting them done quickly. So we not only love the fight doesn't go to decision because when Turner loses, he's being finished. And when both of these guys win, they're winning 100% of the time inside the distance. We can also tell my God, that these guys, they just don't have the conditioning due to the way that they fight for us to count on either one of these guys winning by decision. I mean, 17 wins between the 2 of them, and not one of them have come by decision. So, I mean, even if one of them came by decision, that'd still be 94%. This is 100%, you guys, and it's indicative of the way that they fight. Both of these guys throw serious power strikes. Both of these guys hit extremely hard, and both of these guys use their length really well, so they're throwing very hard kicks. And because they're both southpaws, you know, those power shots with the power hand are usually open on their opponents who are fighting out of that orthodox stance. This is going to be interesting because both of these guys are southpaws. We're going to have to see which one of these guys gets their jab going more. These guys aren't jab fighters. They're usually throwing in combination, and they're usually keeping people at the end of their punches and kicks and throwing with a ton of power. So the violent spot in this particular fight feels like one of the safest bets in the last recent 3 cards for me. I see that it's opening better than -200 on a couple of books right now. And I would encourage everybody to go out there and bet that. That is a very, very good bet. All 8 of these guys' UFC fights have finished inside the distance. No reason to believe that it's going to be a 9th because neither one of these guys ever even goes to the 3rd round in recent memory. So definitely loving the violent spot in this fight. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. And we got Chris saying, that makes sense. when I was talking about how my mic was often very low on the old Pub Sports content. But hopefully I go back and I watch myself just to make sure that the sound is good and that I don't sound like a complete fucking asshole. And yeah, the sound is better now. And we got Jack Attack saying, I remember taping Medic for the Contender. His striking has been sharp since the Serbian regional kickboxing scene. Yeah, dude, he's very sharp. He uses his length very well. And man, he just doesn't try to touch his opponents. He's just trying to knock you out. And he's very accurate because he doesn't throw these wild hooks. He's coming straight down the pipe with his techniques, and they're finding the target. He's very accurate and he hits very hard. I'm a big fan of Uros Medic. Johnny Pillman saying Jalin about to get dusted. Well, that would just be the 8th in a row for Uros Medic of dudes that he's dusted inside the distance. And we got my man DFS by the numbers in the room saying violence. And I'm right there with you, man. I think the violence bet DFS by the numbers is going to be the safest bet maybe on this entire card is Medic Turner fight doesn't go to decision. And we got Jack Tech saying, I'd be highly surprised if this doesn't end in a brutal finish. And I couldn't agree more. I would be just as surprised as you, Jack Attack. Asphalt saying, glad can catch this live. I'm riding with Medic on this sketch fest. Yeah, man, I think I might be riding with Medic too, but we got to get into all the numbers here. I got to discuss this with you guys. We got to get into all this, and then we can come to a educated decision after we've went into all the numbers. Give me just a second here. You have to excuse me. I've already been running my mouth a ridiculous amount today, having already done a balls deep breakdown on the Pierce Morales fight, having already done a main event breakdown on my man DFS by the numbers channel for the main event of this card, the Volkanovski-Ortega fight. Now I'm going to be with you guys for 45 minutes breaking down this fight. Then I'm going to take a little break, and then we might do a balls deep breakdown if you guys can figure out another fight that you want me to do late night tonight after the football game. And then we'll get ready for the DraftKings show on Pub Sports Radio tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. And then after that, after the Contender Series, we'll get ready for this week's Just the Tip with Uncle Weezy, a sensual prelude to the Balls Deep breakdown, where we will break down for all 14 fights on this UFC 266 card. But let's get back into it here. We got DFS by the numbers saying I put as much as I could on it. And he's talking about the violence bet in this fight. And that's a great spot. That bet will be cashing DFS by the numbers. I might even have to try to put more units down than you did on it if I can get signed up on Bet Online today. And then we got Jesse Guerra in the room. What's up, Jesse? Good to see you in here. Took Medic versus Turner inside distance at -190 on Bet Online. Let's go. Yeah, man, that's a great bet. And we got Payne Fight Pick saying, first max bet ever for me. 11 unit bet on Turner. Medic doesn't go the distance. -185. How you like my new profile pick, Uncle Weezy? It's Customato. For those of you who don't know who Customato was Mike Tyson's mentor back in the day. And when Customato was still alive, Mike Tyson was by far the most terrifying man on the entire planet in combat sports. I remember him well as a young man, and he was absolutely one of the most fun boxers to ever watch. Customato is the man. Payne Fight Picks cashed a big bet on Carlston Harris last week, and I think he's going to cash an even bigger bet, 11 units, on this fight not going the distance. I'm going to have to create a Bet Online account today, fund it, and then make this bet as soon as I'm done talking to you guys today. And then we got Joe Poeta saying, where's Uncle's pimp suit? Man, we got the smoking jacket is right here behind me, you guys. But I don't bust that out until it's time for the sensual prelude to the Balls Deep breakdown. And that will be tomorrow night, 10:30 p.m. Central Time. Just the tip, maybe 10 p.m. Central Time. We just got to see how many fights will be on the Contender Series, how long that goes. But I always go live after the Contender Series is over for those of you who haven't had enough MMA content yet on Tuesday nights. So we will be busting out the smoking jacket tomorrow night, Joe. Thanks for stopping in. We got Asphalt saying, I'm not factoring in the reach and height as Medic's last opponent. Cruz had a reach advantage. I believe he had the exact same reach advantage, Asphalt. I believe Cruz either had a 76 or a 77-inch reach, therefore giving him a 5 or a 6-inch reach advantage. And that fight was a complete one-way traffic ass shaving. So, yeah, the reach didn't matter that fight. But Turner's going to have to do a better job using his reach advantage and height advantage here than Jalin Cruz did using the reach advantage he had over Uros Medic. And so, yes, we got you guys saying these things. Let's move on. Let's get into the grappling stats and the striking stats for these two guys. So let's keep in mind that we've only got a 2-fight sample size for Uros Medic, and we've got a small sample size as well for Jalen Turner, because we can't get out too far over our skis with these Medic numbers because they're like video game numbers. But let's start here with Jalen Turner. Hang on, I think I got to sneeze. No, I'm good. Sneezing's for fucking pussies, and I am not a pussy. So we're going to keep going here because that's what heroes do, you guys. 6.2 significant strikes a minute landed for Jalen Turner out of 13.16 offered per minute. That is a 47% striking accuracy. Jalin showing fantastic power for the lightweight division. A 1.53% knockdowns per total significant strikes landed. That means 1.43 knockdowns per 15 minutes for Jalen Turner. He is landing more strikes than he absorbs. 6.2 landed, 4.37 absorbed, and a 45% striking defense for Jalen Turner. That is not a good striking defense number, especially not against somebody as prolific as Uros Medic. We're talking about 0.5% of the time that his opponents are landing a significant strike, he is being knocked down. That is one knockdown absorbed in 184 significant strikes for 0.36 knockdowns per 15 minutes allowed. So Jalen Turner landing 6.2, absorbing 4.37. That's about a 1.8 significant strike differential. That's really good. A 1.53% knockdowns per total significant strikes landed is shows that this guy is showing fantastic power with his striking. He's 6'3". He's got a 77-inch reach, and he does use that reach very well. So Jalen Turner's striking is very good. He finishes a lot of fights in the first round with that striking, but we're seeing the very same things out of Uros Medic, and in a much smaller sample size of 2 fights as compared to 6 for Turner. These are the numbers for Uros Medic. So just sit back and enjoy. 19.91 significant strikes landed per minute out of 25.6 significant strikes offered per minute. For a video game like 77.78% striking accuracy, 3.9% of the time he lands a significant strike, it results in a knockdown for probably best in the division. And he is averaging 11.64 knockdowns per 15 minutes. That's how much he's destroying his opponents. Uros Medic in his 2 fights in the UFC has landed 77 significant strikes and absorbed 2. Let me repeat that. Uros Medic in his 2 fights in the UFC has landed 77 significant strikes and absorbed 2. He has 86.67% striking defense. He's averaging being hit less than 1 time per minute at 0.52 significant strikes absorbed per 15 minutes. He's got a 38.5 to 1 ratio of landing strikes to absorbing strikes. So, unfortunately, the information that's there is just like, wow, Uros Medic just shaves ass, but Jalen Turner's numbers in a bigger sample size, obviously Uros Medic's numbers are gonna regress back towards the mean here. He's a very dynamic striker. He's hell unleashed for the first 5 minutes of a fight, and so is Jalen Turner. So yeah, these kind of differentials and numbers are not going to continue, but it shows how dominant Medic has been in these two performances in the UFC. Every other win that he's had outside of the UFC has been finished in the first round, with the exception of one where he finished at 51 seconds into the second round. There's just really, both of these guys are really good, but Uros Medic has been dominant thus far. However, we're going to have to talk about strength of schedule here shortly, but let's get into these grappling numbers. Not much to look at here, you guys. Jalen Turner in 6 fights has only attempted 3 takedowns. So if he doesn't like how this is going on the feet, he has attempted 3 takedowns and gotten 2 of them. So he's been economical. He's gotten 2/3 of his takedown attempts. He's averaging 0.71 takedown attempts for 15 minutes, and he's averaging 1.78 submission attempts for 15 minutes. He's out controlling his opponents at a 17.7% to 13.82% ratio. He has really good takedown defense. He's successfully defended 18 of 23 takedowns attempted against him, 78.26% takedown defense. He has been taken down 1.78 times for 15 minutes and had 0.71 submission attempts attempted against him per 15 minutes. But he's out controlling his opponent 17.7% to 13.82%. Uros Medic doesn't have any takedowns or takedown attempts, but he does have 38% control time. That 38% control time has come as a result of him knocking down his opponents and then getting on top of his opponents and ground and pounding them out. It took him quite a while to ground and pound out Jalin Cruz. Mark Smith kind of pulled a Steve Mazzagatti or a Mario Yamasaki. We miss you, Mario. In terms of taking a minute longer probably than he needed to in order to stop that fight. It was a one-way ass shaving from pillar to post. I think Uros Medic landed over 50 significant strikes in the first 3 minutes of that fight. He beat the shit out of him. And, Jalin Cruz was moving just enough for Smith not to stop the fight, but then eventually he had to. So, yeah, Medic has shown 100% takedown defense thus far. His opponents are over 2 against him. He's only been controlled less than 5% of his UFC career thus far. So, but these numbers, there's not a lot of meat on the bone for these numbers. So, Jalen Turner is somebody that's, very long and is a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or at least he was during the Culibao fight. So he could have even been presented with his black belt since then. But Jalen Turner is at least a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And Uros Medic has 2 wins by triangle on his resume. I've seen him go for heel hooks. But if we're going to talk about these grappling stats, what I did see on the regional scene is that Uros Medic can be taken down fairly easily and controlled. He was controlled by Nasty Nate. It was Nasty Nate Fitosa, got a couple of takedowns against him and controlled him. Jason Flowers took him down and controlled him for a while. Alonzo Leesholm Jr., I did see Medic show some improved takedown defense in that fight. And then we see him go to the UFC and stuff both takedown attempts against him in the Gonzalez and Cruz fights. So Medic's takedown defense could be improving. He's still very young. Both of these guys are young prospects. We can absolutely expect that they're both improving at this point of their careers. So, yes, I do believe that if we're going to see one of these guys try to take the fight to the ground, it will be Jalen Turner. And I think that if he does try to take it to the ground, he probably will be successful, because I haven't seen fantastic takedown defense out of Medic in the past. But Medic will attempt submissions from his back. But I do believe that if Jalen gets him down, he will have the advantage in the grappling realm. But like I say, 3 takedown attempts in 6 fights for Jalen Turner shows that he's not entirely comfortable shooting for takedowns, as we're only seeing him do it, about 0.5 times per fight. So that's more. I'd like to see more grappling offense out of Turner if I wanted to pick him in this fight, because I think as long as this thing stays standing, it's going to be kind of close. But I think Medic will be the more dangerous striker, as we've just seen him even on the regional scene and at the UFC level against Cruz and Gonzalez, be very dangerous, hit very hard, and be very accurate. So I'm definitely giving Jalen Turner the grappling advantage here, but you got to give Medic the striking advantage. But we got to give the measurables advantage here to Jalen Turner and the experience advantage to Jalen Turner. Both of these guys have 100% finish rates, so it's hard to give somebody an edge there. But I do believe that Medic is more the knockout guy, and in this fight, it's going to be Turner that's really more dangerous with the submissions. Before we get into these strength of schedule numbers, which we don't have much meat on the bone in, unfortunately, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. So let's see. We got DFS by the numbers saying Cruz sucks so bad though. Well, man, yeah, he looked really bad in that fight. And Asphalt saying, "Oh damn, my bad." And then Pain Fight Pick saying, "No, brother, stay true to that opinion. If that's what you believe, don't back down." At Asphalt. And on Asphalt saying, "On reach advantage, LOL. I'm still backing Medic. I can't trust Turner in this matchup." Yeah, I hear you, man. I think that Medic is going to be more dangerous on the feet here. Pain Fight Picks. I'm going to go walk my dogs and do some rounds on the heavy bag. Aloha. Later, everyone. Good to see you, Pain Fight Picks. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. Appreciate it. And let's see. We've got Jack Attack saying, "I approve of the max bet. Seems like the lock to end all locks. I approve of it too." And we got Asphalt saying, "What stuck out to me on Turner's side was last fighting Brock Weaver, who's not even in the UFC anymore. And when he steps up in competition, Luque and even Frivola, though, he's not as high level." Yeah, I agree with you. So that's why we do need to get into these strength of schedule stats right after we read what Jack Attack MMA has to say here. Initially, I wanted to fade Medic because of the low competition level, but then I realized it's a similar level for Turner, and durability is definitely questionable at best. Medic KO round 1. Okay, so let's talk about these strength of schedule numbers, you guys. Let's look at my metrics first here. Jalen Turner's overall ratio at 2.38, much better than Medic's at 1. We've got 4.5 total fights, so Turner fighting the more experienced competition as well. The average record of a Jalen Turner opponent, 3.17 wins, 1.33 losses, while for Medic, it's 0.5 wins, 0.5 losses. If we look at the wins, it's the same for Medic because all of his fights are wins. A half and half record for Medic's opponents, while Turner, when he wins a fight, he's beating a guy with an average UFC record of 1 and 0.5. So just that's the point that Asphalt just made, is that when we look at the level of competition and you look at the losses on Turner's record, you're saying, "Oh, wow, well, he's fought better competition." But then when you look at the wins, these are guys that Uros Medic will be starching in the first round too. Guys like Brock Weaver, guys like Joshua Kulabau, who's a featherweight. He's not a lightweight. Guys like Callan Potter. These are not the kind of wins that are going to get you jumping out of your chair and saying, "Man, this guy's going to be the next belt holder." And Uros Medic, admittedly, it's a step up for him because nobody's going to put him in the Hall of Fame for beating Mikey Gonzalez and Jalin Cruz. So this is the kind of step up, which is a small step up, but Jalen Turner has fought guys like Luque, and actually before Luque caught him with a kind of a weird shot and finished him on the ground, Turner was landing some nice shots. He was hittable. He was admittedly hittable against Luque, and Luque landed some great shots in his own right, but yeah, Turner didn't look completely out of his depth, and it was kind of a freak shot that knocked him down there. So yeah, Jalen Turner has definitely fought the better level of competition. So let's look at Jalin the Tarantula Turner here on Tapology, or not on Tapology. Yeah, on Tapology here, and we see the win over Brock Weaver, 420 round 2. The win over Kulabau, 301 round 2. The loss to Frivola by unanimous decision. The loss to Luque, 352 round 1. He got ground and pounded out. It was a nasty, nasty knockout. Win over Callan Potter, 53 seconds of round 1. Prior to that, we got Max Mustaki, which was a doctor's stoppage. And I also want to point out that the ground and pound win over Joshua Kulabau, just before he won over Kulabau sprained his ankle or did something to his foot in a non-contact injury. And then it was at that point that Turner had finished him. Prior to that, the fight was kind of close, but I thought Turner was definitely winning both rounds. But not an impressive win over Kulabau. Kulabau hurt himself. Callan Powder, okay, he got a win over Callan Powder. And then the win over Brock Weaver, he's already out of the UFC. He's not UFC level, I don't think. So we got to keep in mind that the wins for Uros Medic are probably about just as good as the wins for Turner here as we go back and we see the win against Max Mustaki. That was a doctor's stoppage because of a broken foot for Mustaki. So that wasn't even a great win. Then prior to that, it's Noah Tillis, who's 3-2. Then it's Vytautas Sadauskis. That's a nice Lithuanian name there, with a pretty shitty record of 2-8. A loss to Richard Leroy, who was 4-0 in CXF. A win over Paradise Vasa, 5-1. A win over Gabe Green, probably his best win of his career. 3-1 record, Bellator there. Then losses to Andrew Logdon and Ronnie Borgia, who were both 500 fighters. And then, he started in 2016. None of these wins are fantastic. And then we see that Medic, prior to being in the UFC, was basically on the Alaskan scene crushing cans over there. So Elon Cruz 8-3, Mikey Gonzalez 7-1, a win over Alonzo Leisholm Jr., who was undefeated at 5-0, but they look like they were in two completely different weight classes. And Leisholm, I just didn't see much out of him in that fight. A win over 0-1 Jason Flowers, who took him down. A win over Nasty Nate Feitosa, 1-4, who I believe is now 1-6. Nate took him down and controlled him. And then a win over Seth Kroll by triangle choke, which means that Seth Kroll probably took him down, and then he got the triangle from his back. And then a win over Robert Rivera, 2-0. So neither one of these guys has fantastically impressive wins on their resume. But without a question, when you look at the losses for Jalen Turner, guys like Luque, guys like Frivola, they're higher level opponents than obviously Uros Medic has ever fought. So I'm going to give the strength of schedule advantage here to Jalen Turner. I'm going to give the measurables advantage to Jalen Turner. I'm going to give the striking advantage to Uros Medic. I'm going to give the experience advantage to Jalen Turner, and I'm going to give the grappling advantage to Jalen Turner. But if you ask me which one of these fighters is more dangerous, yeah, it's the guy with the striking advantage, Uros Medic. It's the guy who's finishing fighters just like Jalen Turner is finishing fighters. And look, Jalen Turner's finishes: round 2 against Brock Weaver, round 2 against Kulabau, round 1 against Callan Powder, round 1 against Mustaki, round 1 against Sadauskis, round 1 against Viovasa, round 1 against Gabe Green, round 1 against Adjo Leza, and round 1 against Eric Steens Jr. These are all things that are leading us to the reasons that Pain Fight Predictions put 11 units on the fight doesn't go to decision here. Both of these guys are incredibly dangerous in the first round. Both, we do know that Jalen Turner has been finished in 3 out of his 5 losses. Both of these guys throw so much power and are so explosive. The fact that they're probably both going to be gassed in the second, and whoever lands the big shot then will probably get the guy out of there quickly. So I love this fight doesn't go to decision. And even though you see Jalen Turner with the experience advantage, with the size advantage, with the grappling advantage, with the strength of schedule advantage, it still starts on the feet. And I could easily see Uros Medic getting the best of him here. So let's look at the odds. Let's see what we got here. Unfortunately, let me refresh the page, see if any props have come out recently. And it looks like we did get some props. Yes, just in time for Balls Deep Breakdown. Let's see. We've got Jalen Turner. The best odds that we can find on Turner right now are at about plus 105. It looks like Jalen Turner opened a huge underdog here at plus 160 And then Sharps immediately drove that down to plus 100. And he's been sitting at plus 100 ever since about August 25th, it looks like. So quite a long time ago, almost a month, you've been able to get Jalen Turner a little bit better or a little bit worse than plus 100 here. On the comeback for Medic, we see that Medic opened up at minus 185, and then it looks like he even got bid up to like almost minus 200, and then the money comes in on Turner, and we see Medic sitting around minus 123 on the aggregate here. And let's see if any other books. So yeah, fight goes to decision, minus 185, minus 190 if you have 5 dimes or if you have bet online. Those are the only places that you can get this right now. We've got Turner by KO TKO plus 500, Medic by KO TKO plus 150. So look at that, you guys. They're telling you that Medic is a little bit of a favorite, like a coin flip favorite. But then when you look at by KO, you see that Medic is plus 150 and Turner is plus 500. So they're saying that, Medic is definitely got the striking advantage. That the odds are telling you that while the implied probability of a Medic knockout is about 61%, the implied probability of a Turner knockout is about 16%. Very interesting there. So, and they're saying that the implied probability of a Medic submission is about 5%, while for Turner, it's about, plus 600, that's 1 out of 7. What is that? 14%, something like that. So 14% plus the 17% is about 31% inside the distance. And then they're saying, 61. So definitely 39% and about 44% inside the distance for Medic. So Medic more likely to finish inside the distance via the line here too, as we got plus 135 and plus 145. So either way, whatever side you're on here, these guys are finishing inside the distance. So if you're on the Jalen Turner side, my word, plus 250 in order to get, I think that's where the value is, because, I do believe that Medic probably does win this fight, but we have to keep in mind that Turner is going to be bigger, longer, more experienced, a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got the better grappling pedigree here, and he's fought the higher level of competition. That's like 4 out of the big 5 that we look at, and we're going to give Medic the striking advantage. He is cleaner, he is better striking, and we have shown pretty good takedown defense in the UFC thus far, in an unwilling grappling attack of only 6 takedown attempts, or 3 takedown attempts in 6 fights for Jalen Turner. So even though Turner has that grappling advantage, he's going to have to get it there, and we haven't seen much of a willingness for him to do that. So I think as long as this fight stays standing, it's going to be Medic. And the books are telling us that they like the chances of a Medic knockout better, and it leads me to believe that I've got to pick Medic in this fight, just from based on what I'm seeing in the lines and what the bookies are telling me. They think Medic, as long as this phase stays standing, has a plus 150 chance to knock out Turner, and Turner's only got a plus 500 chance to knock out Medic. I think that this fight stays standing because Turner's not a willing wrestler. But if he turns into a willing wrestler, I think this fight becomes a lot more 50-50, and we could see Turner win minutes and bank rounds with his wrestling and top control, and potentially, get Medic out of there when he gasses later on in the fight, because we haven't seen either of these guys really even see a third round ever, except for in the 2 decision losses by Turner earlier in his career before we really got to see him. So, and in the Frivola fight. So, yeah, the pick, you guys, for me is going to be Medic. If you're betting either one of these guys, I would just bet them inside the distance. Medic inside the distance, you're getting plus money right around plus 140. And for Turner inside the distance, you're getting about plus 250. And then that's a max bet at minus 185, minus 190 for the fight doesn't go. I think that's really one of the best bets on the card. We got about 6 minutes until my man Clint goes live on the Die Hard MMA podcast on Pub Sports Radio. I am going to go over there right after I sign off with you guys because I'm not done wanting my own mixed martial arts content yet either. So I want to watch Clint go break down this card. So let's see what you guys are doing here in the chat before we get out of here. Let's see. Okay. Wow. You guys are killing it in the chat. All right. So we saw Jack Attack saying he wanted to fade Medic. Yeah. Okay. Chris Lang Pearson saying a big part of Cruz looking awful was Medic's power. When somebody gets hit by somebody with unusual power, their composure and game plan often goes out the window. We could see a similar thing happen to Turner. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Chris. I mean, it was one of the Gracies. I think it was Henzo Gracie who was saying, yeah, give me a black belt and I'll punch him in the face once and then he's a brown belt. I'll punch him in the face again, and then he's a purple belt. And it's true, man. Nobody likes getting punched in the face or kicked in the head or, take a liver kick. I mean, pain sucks. We avoid it for a reason. So, yeah, I mean, when somebody gets hit by somebody that hits as hard as Medic, yeah, it's going to all of a sudden make them look like they're not a very good mixed martial artist when they're on the ground getting their fucking skull split open. So, yeah, that's absolutely true, Chris. You're completely on point with that. And same level of competition. Completely agree. Yeah, me too. And especially in the wins. Chris Lang Pearson, look at how Cruz's body language changed after getting hit by Medic for the first time. Yes, he looked extremely uncomfortable, like he was surprised by how hard Uros Medic hit. Tristan saying, "What's up, Weezy? Listening to you while I work right now. Will you have an office play on this fight?" Yeah, I'm gonna be playing. I'm gonna definitely be playing. The fight doesn't go to decision, and I do like Uros Medic. If I'm gonna bet Uros Medic, and I think I will, I'm gonna bet him inside the distance. But if I were on the Turner side, and there's plenty of reasons to be on the Turner side, I would also bet either one of these guys to win inside the distance. I think that's how it gets done. And official play, yeah, I will have official plays. And by the way, if you want to check out my official plays before all the cards go live, you can find me, Uncle Weezy, on Bet MMA Tips. My results have been tracked there for the last 3 events, so you can always see what I'm betting, and I will have that in usually by Friday night at the latest, so you can see what I'm betting. But yeah, there will be official plays for this, and I'll put it out on Twitter as well, Tristan. And Asphalt saying Medic stock going up, Turner stock going down. And, yeah, especially if this fight plays out the way I think it will. Jack Attack saying, I think Medic has some of the more polished and rounded striking in the whole division, and he's sneaky quick. I'd say Turner's best path is to tie up and get the fight to the mat, but I don't see it. Yeah, and we haven't seen a lot of evidence from Turner in the past in his UFC tape that he's willing to try to get it to the ground. So, this is going to be difficult. We're going to have to figure this out. That arm breaking from Medic's fight will never leave my head. I don't remember arm breaking from Medic's fight. Oh, I don't remember that. I didn't see. I watched all 5 of Medic's fights, but I don't remember the arm breaking. Mystic Sosa, what's going up, Uncle Weezy? Dude, what's going on, Mystic Sosa? Good to have you in the room, brother. Always good to see you here. I'm feeling good. I'm breaking down fights. I'm watching Clint start in about 2 minutes. We got Jack Attack saying I'm tailing at Pain Fight Picks and Company. Let's get that free money. Bags deep and balls deep. You got it right. Should be minus 110 each way. Anything can happen here. Curious to see how Medic look if it gets into the second round, but we probably don't even see that. Yeah, that's one thing I think we're going to probably be wondering about how Medic looks in the second round for a while. Asphalt saying, wow, Turner by KO plus 500 is juicy. Absolutely it is. But I think he could submit him too. That's the problem. That's why I would probably just hit that inside the distance bet at plus 250, because one thing that I have seen in the past, and you guys got to see, go watch the regional scene footage of Uros Medic. He's easy to take down. And we know that Jalen Turner, being as long as he is, being a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he could get a choke. He could submit Uros Medic if he winds up going to the wrestling, if he doesn't want to engage in the striking battle with Medic. And I would encourage him not to. If I was coaching Jalen Turner, I'd say, man, this guy is so fucking dangerous on the feet. But you can see in the regional scene footage that he's okay on the ground, but he's not Damian Maya down there. And Jalen Turner being a brown belt and being pretty experienced down there in his own right, having a few wins by submission on his own resume, I think that that's the path of least resistance for him here. If Turner's the side you like, there is a lot of value on that KO prop and the inside the distance prop, my man. I would agree with you there. And we've got Jack Attack saying first of the night potential if it lasts long enough. This one's hype for sure. Fight of the night potential, yeah. What's Weezy betting for this fight? Weezy's going to be betting the fight doesn't go to decision as soon as it's available on my book. And I will also potentially be betting Uros Medic inside the distance or Uros Medic by first round KO. Tristan saying, thanks, Weezy. Hey, thanks for showing up, Tristan. I appreciate it. Thank all you guys for hanging out for the second episode of the day of Balls Deep Breakdown. And then we're going to go right over to Pub Sports Radio, you guys. Check out my guy Clint on the Die Hard MMA podcast. Thank you guys for joining me. And we got Val in here. Let me read what Val has to say. I also think Alon is awful, but I love Medic a lot. Anyways, he has 7 fights, doesn't he? Not 5. Who has 7 fights? Alon or Medic has 7 fights total, yes. But only 2 in the UFC, so 5 outside of the UFC. And then Turner has 15 fights, 6 of them in the UFC. And smoked too much, and it wasn't Medic that broke the guy's arm. I was thinking another Contender Series fight. Okay, cool. Well, I can't blame you for smoking too much, my man, because I've been there myself. You guys are awesome. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for hanging out for another episode of Balls Deep Breakdown. I wish all you guys luck on all your bets this week. I'm going to go watch Clint over on Pub Sports Radio. You guys have a great night. Keep an eye out on Twitter at MMA Weezy because I might actually post another Balls Deep Breakdown later on tonight after the football game if I'm feeling up to it. So you guys get at me on Twitter. Let me know what fight you might want me to do a Balls Deep Breakdown on, and I'll try to do the best one that I get the suggestion for. So God bless each and every one of you. You guys have a great night tonight. I hope all your bets come through, and I will see you either later on tonight or tomorrow for another episode of Balls Deep Breakdown.